Greetings, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Barbara Dean Franklin Show, Real Talk, Real People. I am your host, Barbara Dean Franklin, and today I have the awesome pleasure of sitting with my girlfriend, Laura Urinda. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come in to sit with me today. Laura is the founder of My Sister Song, and My Sister Song is a faith-based outreach and support group for women in the sex industry and victims of human trafficking in the Metro Detroit area. So first thing I want to do is just thank you so much for taking on this initiative, because I know that there are a lot of women that are caught up in this, you know, situation. Some may want to be there, some may be there because for lack of any other way out, you know, any other help or whatever, and some are there against their wishes. So I thank you for taking the initiative to let them know that people out there care about them. So tell me a little bit about My Sister Song, how you started.
Oh, sure. Well, and first I have to thank you, Barbara, for having me, because I appreciate the heart that you have for the community. So God bless you for that.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
So I said, tell me how you started. You know, how did My Sister Song come about?
Oh, okay. Well, about 4 years ago, there was a woman named Harmony Dust, and she used to dance nude for many years in the clubs out in California. And so Harmony has a thriving ministry out there called Treasures in the heart of the porn capital of the world. And so she came out to our church and she spoke, and you know, I realize that while our stories may not be identical, that there are a lot of women that can relate to the road that we've walked. And so I realized that we had a lot of things in common. So I listened to her speak, and then I talked to her, and we had even discovered that me and her actually started out in the same club in California. And so here, you know, these few years later, she ends up at my church in Detroit. So I knew that that was more than a coincidence. So I traveled out to California and connected with Harmony and learned some things, and then came back here and started My Sister Song.
Okay. And so My Sister Song, tell us a little bit about what you guys do at My Sister Song.
Sure. We are a strip club outreach. So basically what we do is we go to as many as 20 clubs at a time. And we go into the clubs with these little gift bags for the girls. And oftentimes, believe it or not, it's the first gift that any of these girls have ever had that contain a contact card for help whenever they're ready to. That'll get them connected to any number of classes and care groups and counseling and mentoring and programs of a variety. And also with the message that we know that these girls have a story that matters, that matters to us. So when we go into the clubs, we have an opportunity to be the eyes, ears, and hands and feet of Jesus. So we look into their eyes, and we listen to their stories, and we hug on them, and we love on them. And our cards also contain our website information, mysistersong.com. That's filled with all kinds of stories and videos and resources and music that they can relate to. And and every woman that contacts My Sister Song automatically receives a free care package that's designed to inspire her and encourage her on her journey. And I personally put together those care packages. So of course they're filled with all kinds of important resources, but I also put a lot of like candy and fun girly things in them, because I want those packages to be an explosion of love when they open them.
Amen, amen. I feel that, and I feel your heart, so I know that when they get that package, it speaks to them. And what you said, you know, they need to know that people are out here who want to love on them. My question to you is, when you, like, how are you received when you go to those clubs? I mean, like, are you calling ahead of time, say, hey, we're coming out to do that? You just show up at the club, and I'm sure that, you know, some of the girls are probably happy to see you, and I'm sure you probably sometimes go with opposition. But what about the owners of the club? I guess that's what I want to.
Excuse me. You know, yeah, I get that question a lot. And I understand that. And now you have to understand, in our situation, we've been going for 4 years now, and we've developed relationships.
Great.
We actually have an excellent reputation
Good.
in Metro Detroit with the clubs, and and everything we do is about relationship building. So it's not just the dancers. We develop relationships with valets and DJs and bouncers and managers. And you know, the truth is, we never at any time ask a girl to leave the industry.
Okay.
We believe it's more powerful if it comes from her.
Right.
So there are a lot of different ways that we can walk alongside of her and love her and inspire her wherever she's at in her journey, whether she's wants out now or she's just thinking about it or she's not ready to get out.
Right.
So, you know, we are not deceptive in any way when we go to the clubs.
Exactly.
We let them know that we're just there because we love the girls and that we care about them, and we know sometimes a girl just needs someone to talk to.
Right.
And one of the things that I think makes our group a little unique is that we're a group of women in the church, but we're also a group of women that many of us have backgrounds in the industry.
All right.
We've got some girls that had women involved in My Sister Song that have been involved in escort in the past, that, you know, were dancers, you know, street prostitution, and so we speak the language.
Most definitely.
And so when we go to the clubs, they know that we're just there to just to love on the girls.
And that's very important. I was a domestic violence advocate. I guess I'm still once a domestic violence advocate. You're kind of always an advocate for something. And when I worked with the Lansing Police Department, you know, we carried a pager and they called us. And that is one thing that I think is so important, that you're not trying to separate them from what they're doing, but you're just trying to support them, to let them know that, you know, people out here care about you, you know, no matter what it is that you do. You know, I'm a recovering crack addict. Okay, I was addicted to crack from 87 to 94. You know, so what does a crack addict look like? What does a stripper look like? I mean, how do you get into that situation? So nobody is speaking down on you.
Right.
You know, we want you to know that there are a group of women who are rooting for you in whatever it is that you're doing. You know, so if you are comfortable in your position, just know that if you ever need help, somebody is standing here ready to help you. So I think that's a great thing that you guys do.
Exactly. And because of the fact that we are a faith-based group, as opportunities present themselves, we know that you know, when we are able to introduce them to the Most High God, that everything else is going to take care of itself.
Most definitely.
So, you know, but we also don't approach them with forcing an agenda on them.
Right.
We don't throw Bibles at them telling them to turn or burn. Do you know what I mean? We just
Exactly.
meet them where they're at, and we just love them, and as they allow us to, we walk alongside of them and just encourage them.
Right. So now, when you met Harmony and she came to your church and she spoke, there had to be something deep down within you where you already, were you already thinking about something like this? You heard God speaking to you, saying, you know, when God delivered me in '94 on my living room floor from my crack addiction, he said, you have a ministry for abused women and children. I knew I had a purpose, you know, so then I started to walk that. Did you have some situation that, you know, came to you that made you want to do this?
Nope. It's just the opposite of that.
You're running?
It's just the opposite of that, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because when my pastor first came to me and he said, you know, Laura, there's going to be a woman coming from California who used to dance in the clubs and did some great things to the girls, and I think you do a good job doing this. You got to understand, I was tripping a little bit there, because as open as I was, that part of my journey, I had tucked away. Nobody knew about that. My pastor didn't know about that. So I realized there was probably a God thing going on. And then I needed to be open to that, you know. Now, granted, you know, me and my husband both, you know, come from some pretty hardcore stuff. And so, you know, as we grew in our relationship with the Lord and started, you know, getting some healing and growing and evolving in our faith and that kind of thing, we absolutely developed a heart and a passion for wanting to reach out to people that had the struggles that we had. So, you know, we did have that in us, but as far as this little specialized niche here, did not see that coming.
And that's the one thing, is that when you allow God to use you, you have to be transparent. You have to tell your business, you know. So sometimes they say, you know, your test becomes your testimony. So the things that you went through, you know, because unless you've kind of walked a mile in my shoes, how can you help me, you know? I think it's, you know, when I look at how God uses people, when I read the Bible, you know, you see everybody that is in there, you know, went through something.
Absolutely.
There were all kinds of struggles. So I, again, commend you because, you know, like you said, when the pastor was saying to you, you could have said, no, you know, this is not my assignment. I don't want to do this, but you're doing it, and you're doing it so well. So as you go around in the Metro Detroit area, and like you said, you don't go with an agenda. You don't go to say turn or burn or anything like that.
Right.
But have you, as a result of what you're doing, have you seen women come to you and say, hey, you know what, I think I want to do something different. Can you help me? And then like the resources that you provide have helped them, like life skills or making some changes, positive changes in their life.
Oh,
know?
good grief, yes, absolutely. You know, the reaction that we get from the gals, for the most part, are just a lot of times we'll see them like in the gift bags. I also put a little love note.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we've seen girls sitting right there in the dressing rooms reading the love notes and just breaking right into tears. And sometimes they get so excited when they see our van pull up and they know we're out in the parking lot. Sometimes we get greeted in the parking lot. And even the ones that don't know us, that are a little initially standoffish, you know, they're so used to strings being attached to everything and thinking we're going to ask them for money or take advantage of them in some way. But it's just a matter of time when they get to know us a little bit, that they're so open to us, because you got to understand, a lot of these girls are expecting the church to hate them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then when they realize that we really are there just because we love them, because we care. I mean, the women that contact us, look, they have any number of situations that are going on. Can I talk about different reasons women find themselves involved in the sex industry? And I'm not saying this is true for all women across the board, but I am telling you that the women that contact my sister song for help have any number of these things going on. Sometimes they may have been born into some kind of serious generational dysfunction, like drug or alcohol addiction, sexual addiction, absent parents, whether they're dead or in prison or uninvolved and disconnected. A lot of these girls were literally raised in the sex industry. We've worked with mother-daughter teams before. And we also have had girls that they have no job or job skills or no insurance, no money management skills or academic skills, in a lot of cases no food or no homes, and they're raising babies in the middle of this. So they are in pure survival mode. They're doing what they feel that they have to do, and in most cases they hate it, okay? And then we have, you know, girls that are dealing with addictions, and, you know, the obvious being drugs and alcohol. But there's also, because of where a lot of them come from, there's sexual addictions, money addictions, and even attention addictions, where they're craving addictions. And, you know, and a lot of these girls they're victims of human trafficking. They're under somebody's control. You know, sometimes they even have husbands or boyfriends that are forcing them or guilt-tripping them to working in the industry. And in a lot of cases, they don't even recognize that they're being pimped out. You know, so it runs pretty deep. So we've worked with a lot of girls over the past 4 years that we've done this, and it bears a lot of fruit. You know, we've seen girls you know, get plugged into a variety of resources. Every outreach that we do, we have a gift bag assembly team that stuffs 500 gift bags for us. So we're reaching a whole lot of girls. And they do develop relationships with God, and they do leave the industry. They do come to Christ and get baptized and get custody of their kids back and police records straightened out, and they're able to start brand new lives that they can be really excited about.
That is great. I mean, it's wonderful, you know, because in a perfect world, you know, you continue to do what you are doing and your services won't be needed soon. You understand? Because you will reach the multitudes. And I pray that the girls that you are reaching, they're telling somebody about my sister's song, you know, that once they feel better about themselves, they feel whole, and they know, even if they're still dancing, that they matter. You know, that they matter, that they're important, that their life, that they take their power back and say, I choose to dance to make this a means until I can get out, you know, but they own their bodies, their minds, and their souls. If they know that, then they're powerful, you know. So I pray that, you know, as you're going out there and you're helping them, that once they start to help themselves, that they help their sisters as they come in.
They do. They already do. We
That's
see
good.
it all the time because God gives them purpose to their pain. And and we have a lot of them that get involved in my sister's song as well.
That's good. So what are the statistics? Like, what are the age, you know, like when you talk about sex trafficking and you think about that, like, what is the range of age that this is happening?
Sure, and there's all kinds of statistics that we could get into, but I can tell you that there are more women involved in the sex industry right now than in any other time in history, that there are more strip clubs in our nation than in any other nation in the world, and a lot of people are under the impression that women get involved in this industry for easy money, but there's nothing easy about the money they make. Compared to the general population, women in the sex industry experience higher rates of substance abuse, rape and violent assault, sexually transmitted disease, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder comparable to combat war veterans, and that between 66 and 90% of women in the industry were sexually abused as children, and the average age of entry into prostitution is 12 to 14 years, and there are 1.39 million victims of commercial sexual servitude worldwide.
Wow, that's deep.
It is deep.
That is very...
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that is really deep. How, like, you know, you're going out here and you're doing this. You're doing what it is that you're doing, but, like, you know, if you got to the root in this rabbit hole, you know, like, what, as you're going out here and you're seeing, you know, what's going on, and you're coming with your bags and you're giving this love, but if there was like one thing that could be addressed that you think is the root of the problem that would, you know, make a difference, what?
Well, there's a few different directions I could go with this. You know, there's a lot of things that fuel the women being involved in the industry, like I was talking about. Like, I know what my own story was, like what I come from, that set me on a path. You know, my parents were simple people from the South, and they were mountain people, and my father was actually a coal miner, which makes me a coal miner's daughter.
All right.
And you know, but you know, they left the treachery of the mines to come to the Motor City to build a better life in the 50s, and then my sister was born, and 13 years later I came along. And so by the time I came along, my father was very deep into his alcoholism, and my parents were not evil people at all, but because of the severity of his alcoholism, the atmosphere in our home was oftentimes, you know, pretty evil. So I was you know, it was very unpredictable, terrifying at times growing up in my home. So I was a nervous wreck of a little girl, and the things that I went through put me on a path. You know, by the time I was a teenager, I rebelled and left home and was a street kid, and had my own drug and alcohol addiction, and I got popped and got my first police record because I was hanging around with criminals, and you know, by the time I was in my 20s, I was already burned out on my life. So, but I joined the Army to get straightened out, which helped a lot. But long story short, I met the man that I would marry after knowing him for only 4 months, and you know, he comes from his own alcohol and drug issues, and he was raised in a cult. So that's his story is a whole other Oprah, believe me. But needless to say, the first 5 years of our marriage was just a disaster, because, like I always say, a foundation of sex, drugs, and rock and roll do not a marriage make. So, you know, it was just kind of all downhill from there, and that kind of set the tone for me to get involved in the things I did and get into the trouble I did. So that was the long answer to your question. I think where we come from has a lot to do with some of the directions that we end up, some of the choices we make. It's amazing the choices a woman makes when she doesn't know her value. Then there are things that happen with some of these women that are involved in the industry that it was out of their control, okay, whether they were snatched or, you know, you've got that whole side of it, right? And then you've got the whole, the men's side of it, supply and demand, right? And everything that the men are going through. You know, our church, our ministry is under Connection Church, under Pastor Rocky Barra in Canton, and they just started something called Man Church. It's been getting some press and some publicity lately because they're trying to, they recognize that our men today are in crisis.
Yeah.
They're, you know, the breakdown of the family and kids without dads,
Right.
and yeah, a lot of these men, you know, are struggling with addictions of a variety to include porn and sexual addictions and these types of things, and it may seem like a big party for them, but they're suffering and they're losing a lot, and they're struggling with how to lead.
Yes.
You know, there's a problem in our culture with that.
Most definitely.
And I think that definitely impacts the sex industry. It fuels the sex industry.
Right. And it's, you know, it's amazing that you said that, because as you were talking, and we concentrate on the women, and you know, I told you about my vision for in our house, you know, where we can have a place where we can teach women the life skills and economic development and the things that they don't know about, how to raise their children properly, how to give them their power back. But usually when they have a woman, there's some man on the other side of that woman that needs to learn those exact same things. So you talk about Connection Church and your pastor starting this, so that's a great thing. As you're going out and you're addressing the women with your bags of love and hope and giving them everything, then your pastor will start his ministry.
Mikey Barty, actually.
Okay.
Our pastor is Rocky Abera over Connection Church, but it's Mikey Barty who is starting this, the Man Church within Connection Church.
That is wonderful. Now you said something, and I kind of want to go back, because how long have you and your husband been married now?
27 years.
27 years. So, you know, marriage is a lot of work. You know, people think that, you know, okay, so 4 months and then you guys got married, but 27 years later, you know, was it worth it?
Absolutely worth it. Good. Because I got to tell you, those first 5 years when we were a total mess, that's what a lot of young couples are going through, and that's when they give up.
Yes.
Because they cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. Right. When you're going through that, you're in the chaos, you're in the pain, you're in the numbness, you're not feeling it, you're not feeling love, you know what I mean? It's like, so they throw in the towel, but here's the deal. This is the reality of it. Me and my husband, we had an opportunity. There was somebody who turned us on to a really intense marriage ministry that taught us for the first time God's blueprint for marriage from the Bible. And so we had some wonderful mentors that walked alongside of us and loved us, as difficult as we were to deal with, let me tell you. And we got, you know, plugged into a church that was a good fit. We took advantage of every resource available, counseling and retreats and Bible studies. And what happens is there's healing that starts to happen. And you begin to grow and evolve as a couple and as individuals. And so I just pray that more hurting marriages would reach out and grab hold of those resources that are there. Right. Because it's worth it. It's worth it.
See, but the whole thing is that people don't know what they know until they know it. Exactly. So a lot of times, you know, that's why I'm so grateful for the Barbara Dean Franklin show, to be able to, you know, a lot of people may hear about sex trafficking and girls that are out there dancing, but they may not know my sister's song is out there. They may not know that, you know, the church is not upset with them. They may not know that there are people who are willing to just, you know, forsake their life, you know, for yours, you know, to just be there to love on you. If it's nothing but a hug, or, you know, to put that bag together and to do it with love, you know, to think about, okay, well, I want to write this note and I want to put this in and she'll probably be happy. Oh, look at this little thing if she got that, and somebody is opening that bag. And it may not mean anything to you, but when you do it, it just means the world to that person. You know, if everybody will come together like that, we would be such a better community, neighborhood, world. I mean, it's in your own neighborhood, in your homes. That's where it starts first. Then you go out into the community, to the cities. I truly applaud you, and I thank you for everything that you're doing. Somebody may watch this show and they want some help. It may be an abuse, addiction, you know, just no self-esteem. I want you to look into the camera, and I just want you to speak from your heart to somebody that's watching who needs a little hope.
Oh, gosh, yeah. You know, those of us in my sister song, We have, between all of us, we've been through it all, and we've done it all, and we've seen it all. You can't shock us. And if you don't feel ready to contact us, you know, you can just go check out the website. We have a lot of resources on there that you can independently access. And but if you do feel comfortable to send us an email or give us a phone call, we'd love to send you that care package that's free of charge. There's no strings attached to absolutely anything that we do. We never at any time are going to ask for money from you. We exist simply because we love you and we believe in you and we get it. So yeah, we would just love to hear from you, and what we like to do when we do make contact is find out what the needs are, and we prioritize them, and then we just start going down the list, checking them off, and seeing, you know, what different ways that we can bless you with. So please just know that you are loved more than rubies. You are valued. You have great purpose, and we believe in you.
Wow. Give your website address so they can know how to get in touch with you.
Sure. It's www.mysistersong.com. And we're on Facebook too.
All right, all right. So I definitely, when I'm back on Facebook at the first of the month, I will have to look you up and like your page. And then you in turn like the Barbara Dean Franklin page so we can stay hooked up. But let's talk about, because we only have a few minutes, so let's talk about the swag. You know, I see your... I see your Sister Song shirt on, you know, so you guys, you're selling shirts and, you know, different things of that. You have a swag cup and different things like that?
We actually do, yeah. For fundraising purposes, we do. We have different kinds of My Sister Song shirts. This one has our web address on it, and on the back of the shirt it says Her Story Matters. And we have some that have our logo on it. We also sell Scars and Stilettos, which is a book written by Harmony Dust. That is fantastic. It's such a good read, and it shows the heart behind our ministries. Yeah, things like that. You know, I also have a little CD of taken from one of my speaking engagements, and things like that. So
people, if they want you to come out and speak, you do that as well. Now, is that the best way to contact you? Is your website, or is there a number that they can reach you at?
It is. It is. Yeah, through our website is the best way to contact me, and there are a lot of different ways to be involved in My Sister Song. It's just a matter of what's a good fit. And so, you know, obviously, hate to bring up financial partnerships, but, you know,
we need money.
We do. We do, in order to be able to fund a lot of our resources and care packages and outreaches. And also gift cards are such a wonderful way to help a girl rebuild her life after sex work. And so even little coffee cards are great relationship starters at the club, or cards for, you know, Walmart and Target and things like that, groceries, gas in any amount. Product donations, we have a list on our website, and working the web. Like she said, going to our Facebook page and clicking that like, getting involved in the discussions, different ways to volunteer, and of course we appreciate your prayer support, because you can imagine the intensity of the warfare with this type of a ministry.
Wow. Laura, man, thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with me today. 30 minutes is just really not enough time.
It flies,
you know, but you know, there's an open invitation. That seat is always open to you. If you ever want to come back, you want to do something, you know, different, you know, we'll talk, you know, and then we'll figure out ways to partner together to get out here and maybe make a double impact on what it is that you're trying to do and what it is that I'm trying to do. I think we do the same thing, you know, because, you know, we know that there are a lot of hurting people out here. And so that's what we want to, you know, Women Empowered Crossing Paths is my 501c3. And once we cross the path of another woman, you know, you're never standing alone. We're like a cord in a twine that can't be broken. We're stronger when we have our sisters with us, you know. So My Sister Song and Women Empowered, we need to, you know, really sit down and brainstorm and see how we can help each other, you know.
Well, I love that. And can I leave you with the scripture that's at the heart of My Sister Song?
Please.
It's from Psalm 41:3 that says, I waited patiently for the Lord, and he turned to me and he heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire, and he set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and will be awestruck and will put their trust in the Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, I'm going to end the show the way I always do each and every week, thanking my fans, the people that tune into the show every week. I'm praying that this show blessed you, that you will leave with information and be empowered to make a change in somebody's life, if it's not your own, but somebody else's. I'm going to tell you from my beating heart to your beating heart, I love you. You understand? Okay.